Thanks for joining us. Before the break, detectives investigating Patty Wilson's murder, they'd been looking in the wrong place all along.
No kidding.
4 years after Patty's murder, the brother of Patty's boyfriend, Terry Batiste, called investigators to tell them he knew who killed Patty. It was not Terry, but it was his estranged, jealous wife, Velma.
He's like, it wasn't my brother, it was his crazy old lady.
And there was a third person there.
And, yeah.
It was who was a mutual friend of both Velma and Patty. That was Velma's way of getting in.
I struggle to refer to Geraldine as Patty's friend or think of her as such anymore.
Exactly.
But at the time she was, because I don't know, Geraldine sounds like a really, really, really terrible friend.
Well, according to Geraldine, the original plan wasn't to murder Patty.
Oh, okay.
Velma told Geraldine that she just wanted to rough her up a little bit.
I guess it's fine then. Never mind. Yeah.
Still, it's different. It's different, right?
No, it is. It wasn't a murder plot.
Yeah.
No, it's accurate. It wasn't a murder plot, but still, it's just a scummy thing to do. What, did you just want to be in on the drama?
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I just don't
She
get
chose
it.
sides. We'll say that, she chose sides.
What did Geraldine have to gain? Oh, I just want to see somebody get their ass kicked,
I think
that's what bothers me.
No, I think she chose sides. She chose Velma instead of Patty.
And
because,
you know what? Patty does deserve to get her butt kicked. So I guess
maybe
that okay.
Maybe that is an assumption.
Sure.
So investigators played the game of interrogation with Geraldine to get her to talk. They told her that Velma had already confessed, and when she heard that, she started telling her side.
All right, you already know the story. Let me make sure I'm not going to get in trouble.
The two went to Patty's. Geraldine was let in, and Velma was hiding in the bushes. Just hiding in the bushes. Geraldine sat at the table visiting with, quote, her friend, Patty. And Patty was the one that was drinking the beers, and they both smoked. There they are sitting at the table, visiting, smoking, chit-chatting, and Velma's hiding in the bushes. When Patty got up to use the restroom, Geraldine let Velma into the apartment. And Velma walked in, put a chair under the doorknob on the front door. Then Velma went to the bathroom to confront Patty. Geraldine heard, quote, a hit like skin on flesh. And then heard Velma say to Patty, quote, I'm going to kill you. Geraldine started to walk back to the bathroom when she saw Velma's hands around Patty's neck. And since the confrontation had clearly escalated, she decided she needed to leave. Geraldine went back approximately an hour later and saw Patty on the floor.
Oh my gosh, Geraldine.
This is where I have an issue. This is where her story makes sense, but this is where it stops. When she went back, why didn't she call the police? Why didn't she call?
Because she's guilty. She's at this point. She's guilty.
It could have been an anonymous phone call. It could have been something, because that night her kids were upstairs asleep.
Yeah.
And Patty laid there for another 8 hours? 8 hours or so?
Just the
on the floor dead?
Of bad decisions by Geraldine here is staggering. One, to betray somebody who believed they were your friend. Two, to just allow that. If you came in, you saw what Velma was doing, you could have... Don't do that. Don't kill her. You said it was just going to be this. You could have done the right thing. You had many chances to do it. And then now a third time when you come back and you see it, like that
all
is
of those
just...
things, all of those things aside, right? Like, yes, you should have done the right thing. You shouldn't have even been there. Shouldn't have even been part of it. But to
I'm
go
just
back,
revolted by Geraldine. I'm sorry.
To go back, that's the part that just
why even go
really
back
chaps
in the
my
first
ass.
place?
Why go back?
What was the point of going back in the first place then?
To check to make sure that she was dead? Like what? Why?
Right. No, seriously, why? Why did you even go back?
Well, and why didn't she ever come forward? Right? Well, she didn't come forward because Velma threatened to kill her.
She kind of got tricked into it.
Geraldine was a bit tricked, and she did not come forward because Velma threatened to kill her. And clearly Velma stands on business. And Geraldine, at that point, then was arrested for aiding and abetting the murder, and also agreed to testify against Velma. Geraldine's interview was credible. That's the kicker.
Yeah,
it was credible. The details of the blunt force trauma to Patty's skull had not been released to the public, so only someone who was there could have known.
Wow.
And at that point, she took a plea deal for false reporting.
Okay.
So that was it. Velma, by the time they got to Velma, she had skipped town. When investigators finally caught up with her in Texas, not long after, she was then arrested.
Is Velma hiding her face here? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. She was arrested for the murder of Patty Wolzen. Velma refused to speak to detectives, but all she said was, quote, "Geraldine is a liar." At no point had they told her yet that Geraldine was the one that told them what happened.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. So she just dimed herself out. These people are just ratting themselves out left and right, getting tricked into... And Geraldine claims Velma said she would kill me. I mean, okay.
I think when you're afraid for your life and you're stuck living in this apartment complex, whatever, you can't leave. Whatever the life maybe isn't the easiest to get out of. You got to do what you got to do, but you also have to make the right choice and you have to do the right thing. But I do think that's particularly why they did take it kind of easy on her as far as charges go.
I don't know. It's hard for me to... Geraldine, what she did is just a hair's breadth less wrong for me than what Velma did, because you gave Velma the opportunity to be a killer. And that it is not the same as pulling the proverbial trigger, but you loaded the gun. It's almost the same as tying the person up, loading the gun and handing it to a killer.
But just a few minutes ago, you said she was tricked.
Well, she was tricked into confessing.
She was also tricked into, she didn't
what
think
I
that
meant
it was...
she was tricked into confessing. I did not mean she was tricked into being part of a murder.
Well, she was told,
though. Yeah, maybe. It just escalated. Either way, you didn't know that Velma was going to kill her. You weren't really tricked into that. You agreed to set up a fight, and then it escalated. Velma decided, I'm going to be crazy and I'm going to be a killer. For me, I meant she got tricked into confessing because she believed Velma had already confessed. So we don't even really know if Geraldine, if she hadn't gotten conned into confessing like that, if she had been smart, she might not have even said anything. So I think she only gave it up because she thought she was guilty already and trying to save her own ass.
I don't know.
To me, everything about Geraldine is a save my own ass.
But when they talked about her shoulders dropping, she knew she was caught, right? She knew that her role of it was caught. But I do think she was tricked by Velma. If she didn't, because they deemed her story to be credible, so regardless, she went back. That's where I have the issue, right? So maybe her motive was not there, because Velma tricked her. But I don't know. I mean, that we could debate that one all day long. But the road to and going back even further though with Velma, she's done been caught at this point because they did not know, or she did not know that they had that Geraldine had even spoken to them. Right. So I wanted to point that out one more time. The road to trial would be a weird and winding one. Geraldine Wallace was supposed to testify at Velma's trial, which was scheduled to originally begin December 1st, 1986. She was a no-show.
Wow. See, of course. Why am I not surprised?
She was essentially the entire case.
That's it. She is the case. Her testimony.
I mean,
there are some, it up with her statement.
There are some other things, but they needed there are some other people, but they needed her testimony. They needed it. The most
critical aspect of this, for sure.
Yeah. Well, Velma Batiste at that point was released from jail, and in a surprising move, charges were dismissed without prejudice, which means, of course, that they could recharge her at any time. They're still there. Yes.
Wow.
They had nothing else they could do because they couldn't find Geraldine. They couldn't find right, but as far as keeping her in they couldn't
be like, well, we're going to keep you till we can do this.
Yeah, they can't. That doesn't work.
Like that. Yeah. Wow.
Well, it wasn't until February 23rd, 1987. So 2.5 months later, that Geraldine was found and subsequently arrested. Charges against Velma Batiste were refiled a couple of months later. So nothing had changed there. That was simply, why they did it without prejudice, right? While waiting for trial both times, Batiste and her attorney had filed 2 different motions to discharge because she had not been brought to trial within 6 months. They were really, really pushing that amendment, right to a speedy trial.
Yeah.
However, both were denied. when the trial finally started in October 1987, almost a year after her original trial was supposed to start, there was no shortage of witnesses. Multiple witnesses testified that Batiste had threatened to kill, or had threatened Patty prior. And at some point, Batiste told Patty she was going to kill her. So witnesses had even heard this, including, some people close to them.
That's just even a little more, I guess, frustrating, because clearly this woman had died and other people had heard Velma say these things. You didn't even, you wanted Geraldine's witness testimony, obviously, but then suddenly you've got, now there's 5 people that said that Velma said she was going to kill her. Where were you guys at in week 1? You knew that. In a small community, it's not like, I never heard about Patty getting murdered like that. Like, you don't have any excuses.
I mean,
it's so awful.
Yeah. It is, because if you heard that, like, wouldn't that stick out in your brain? Would that, and the community is 25,000, currently, right? So
small.
It's smaller, and if you're running in those same circles, there's that's bothersome.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, a friend of Patty testified that Patty told her that Velma Batiste assaulted her at her apartment already. So, and that Patty had been trying to end the, quote, relationship, but Terry Batiste was still coming over, and even early in the morning. He was still coming over. And so she was trying to, but, and Velma had already, that's the part that really gets my goat, is, just adding to what you had said, right? Velma had already assaulted her.
You've already attacked her once. She's trying to break away. I mean,
well, even Terry Batiste.
Velma's crazy.
She's got some issues.
Back to Terry and his red flags.
Well, Terry Batiste, Velma's estranged husband, testified that he had numerous affairs following his separation from his wife in the summer of 1982. Numerous.
Well, no, those aren't even affairs at that point.
They're estranged, right?
They're
exactly.
Not, they're
separated,
not
affairs.
So I know that's his word saying he had numerous affairs, but just technically, you're separated. They're not even affairs.
They're not
you're
affairs.
Just with other women.
He also testified that his wife knew of them.
And none of them got killed.
Well, just pump the brakes. Nobody got killed, but pump the brakes. With Terry, the husband, stepping out every chance he got, it was not difficult to find women he'd had affairs with or had, whatever, relationships. There were 3 women that also, separately, also testified that Velma had physically assaulted them because of their interactions with her estranged husband.
Is
3
Terry
separate
the only
women.
Dude in town?
I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know.
Come on, ladies.
I know, but
he's got 5 kids with a crazy ex. Why? I'm sorry.
Here, I got a lot of red flags for you there. It's like
25 with 5 kids and a crazy ex that beats everybody up. What are you doing? Stay away from dudes like that.
Well, guess who took the stand in her own defense? Velma. So Velma Batiste claimed that she was at home decorating for Christmas the night of the murder. She had no motive for killing Patty because she claimed not to have known about it and only learned of the sexual affair during the murder investigation. On the stand, she said, quote, "I did not kill Patty Walson. I did not threaten her, but there were other people Patty was afraid of." She claimed that she and Patty got along. They weren't friends, but they got along. Batiste also said on the stand, quote, "People will say anything to get a reward, and people will say anything if they're being threatened." So kind of like planting that seed, right? Or planting the first seed. So during the investigation, it's worth pointing out that investigators collected 5 hairs from Patty's robe that matched Terrence Batiste. So clearly, that is corroborating that he'd been around, right? 1 hair matching Velma Batiste was found on Patty's robe as well. Wow. Now, that could have been, could have come off of Terry, but they found it on her robe, the robe that she was wearing when she was murdered, right? So the same day, this part breaks my heart. The same day that the trial started, one of Patty's brothers was killed in an accident, but that did not stop Patty's mom from holding a promise of justice that she had made to Patty.
That is so sad.
The defense brought forth 2 witnesses to attempt to continue to plant the seeds of reasonable doubt. One man testified that he saw a woman that he believed was Patty, eventually believed was Patty, not right away, right? that Patty outside of her apartment with two men the night before her body was found, between 10:30 and 10:45. Another witness testified, again for the defense, that in a grocery store between 5:30 and 6 p.m. the day she died, she saw Patty with a black man. Kind of implying that it would have been, And my answer to that was, so what? So after closing arguments, the jury deliberated for 7 hours. So longer than a person would think, but at 7:40 p.m. on Monday, November 3rd, 1987, the jury returned to the courtroom. Velma Batiste was guilty. And to be convicted of first-degree murder in Nebraska, both premeditation and malice must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And clearly, the prosecution had done that.
Yeah, it's there.
Of Velma Batiste, Patty's mom said, quote, "I don't hate the person. I don't like what she did to my life. I don't want anything to do with her, but I want her to stay where she is."
Now you got how many motherless children now because of this? 7? 7 motherless kids because of this? It's so senseless.
Yeah, it's so senseless. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you next week.